Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Book Club. It's the first of this year because we had to have an extended Christmas off due to the fact that I got very ill due to a cold. And the one thing that will definitely guarantee that you won't want to read a book is if I'm talking about it while sounding like a dying frog. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Today we're talking about the second book in Stieg Larsson's posthumous Millennium Trilogy, The Girl Who Played with Fire. This is the only book in the series that actually keeps its original title when it's translated from Swedish to English, which is interesting, I thought. But it's also the one that suffers the most due to the fact that it is part of a trilogy, and it's the middle one in the trilogy, so it has what we end up calling trilogy-itis. Now, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the first book, is very standalone. It's very much one that you can pick up, put down, and never have to read the rest. It sets up very few plot points that are resolved later in the trilogy, which means that The Girl Who Played with Fire has an awful lot of work to do. It has to build a world on a basis that was put forward in very minute areas for Dragon Tattoo, and also seed the plot points that will be dealt with in the final book. So it has a lot of work to do, in addition to producing its own plot lines that it can resolve in its own book. So it's a lot of work, and to a certain extent it does suffer as a result. Not to a huge amount. I mean, it's still a good book, and I still read it in just 2 days, which is pretty good, but it does have those little issues that mean that, in comparison with the others, it's possibly the weakest of the three. Nevertheless, it's got some brilliant characters. They feel well-rounded, and the villains, some of them are actually more terrifying and monstrous than in the original book, which is quite an achievement, and it's due to the fact that the villains in this seem so plausible. Not all of them, of course. I mean, we do have one Bond villain style Superman here, but even with him, the reason that he has these powers and abilities is due to an actual real-world thing. The illness that he has is a real thing. I mean, yeah, sure, it's rare, but it can exist. Therefore, this kind of person can exist. It's all rooted in the real world, which is what makes it so good. Everything is plausible, and as a result, you think that this could happen, which helps an awful lot with suspension of disbelief, of course. Moreover, even with this Bond villain that we've got, the fact that he's here gives a lot of narrative poetry in terms of the mirror image effect he has with the main protagonist, Lisbeth Salander. So we've got this guy, and he's got these powers, and then we've got this smaller, more vulnerable person as well, and the way they interact sets up a very interesting mirror image of sorts. So that is very interesting, and it actually helps to tell a compelling story. And it is a compelling story. It's as compelling as the one from the previous book. Once again, it's made of twisting and conjoined plot threads that weave together in a complex manner, plus all of the plot threads that were left from the previous book are coming in, and they're intermixing with these plots, and it's setting up all of these other plot points that are going off into the third book. So it's a complex weave, and under most circumstances with an average writer, you've got a strong risk of all of that just falling apart into a mess. And thankfully, with Stieg Larsson, because he's not your average writer, it's actually falling together. And it's falling together pretty well, actually, because he's not just writing, he's drawing on years and years, a lifetime's experience as a journalist who has dealt with issues like this in his career. So he's drawing on real life experience, plus his own imagination, plus the point he wants to get across, because this entire story is one big message. And then it all comes together, and all of that, the anger, the experience, the knowledge, it all comes together to make a very reasonable, plausible, and still interesting story. So it's very skillfully handled here. But like I said before, if there is one fault to be had with this book, it's that it has to do all of the world building. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is standalone. It's set in one area, whereas this is a much bigger problem. It goes across the whole of Sweden. So it has to build its world and its characters and how they all interact with the world. It's got a lot of work to do, and as a result, certain passages feel like they have to be here because they wouldn't fit into The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo to set things up earlier. And if you put it into The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, the third in the trilogy, then it's too late to have set it up. So it has to be here, which means that this book suffers from being 2 of 3, essentially. And not only that, but it also suffers from having to do the work of the first book when the first book couldn't. So there are passages where you're reading it and think, this really isn't moving anything along. And you know that it's got to have a point, because everything else has had a point. So it's got to have been set up for the third book, which, yeah, sure, it has to be done, but it doesn't quite work. And therefore there are certain sections that slow the plot down a little too much. But nevertheless, like I said, I got through it in 2 days, so that's pretty good going. So it's not a problem that's going to stop you reading it, but it is a problem nevertheless. But even despite that, the book itself hangs together very nicely. It's got a good plot, it's a compelling plot, it keeps you wanting to read more. The characters are believable, and those that aren't are a little larger than life, have a reason for it under medicine as we know it now. So there is that. And as a result, in the end, it is a book that, yeah, I'd recommend it. I have no problem recommending it at all. It's not as good as the first one, and the third one is probably a little bit better too. So as it goes, as a trilogy, it kind of is the drop. But even so, it's a small drop, and it's from a very high standard anyway. So I really have no problem in recommending this book at all. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you did like this, and if you did, remember to click the like button. Share it with your friends so that they know a good book when they see it, and do remember to subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching the Monday Book Club. Join us next week when we'll be looking at Philip K. Dick's classic Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and until then, see you later.